Well, hi, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Izzard. I'm Izzard. C'est le spectacle que j'ai fait à Paris. I did this gig in Paris, and I'm gonna talk about it. Je vais parler de ce spectacle maintenant. And I'll try doing this in anglais-français. Not franglais, but English, and then going back and doing a bit of French. So, je vais essayer parler en deux langues maintenant. So that if you're French, si vous êtes français, tu peux comprendre qu'est-ce que j'ai fait. And if you're English, you can understand what I was trying to do in French. So yeah, I'm just here doing this as a commentary. C'est un commentaire pour expliquer, I don't know, to explain stuff. It's the second time I've done it. The first time I've done it was the main show, Le Grand Spectacle in New York. And this show, ce spectacle, it's the material, the subjects, les sujets sont entre the previous show, which was Dress to Kill, and Circle. This is part of the Circle tour, but I don't write new shows, I transition them. And then I like this idea. J'aime beaucoup cette idée parce que le mot, well, I explained in the thing that the French word for transvestite is travesty, which travesty in English means catastrophe. So it was a nice bit of material to explain where I was coming from, my sexuality, and have comedy, and it all be true. Because you do have to go around saying you're a catastrophe in France if you're a travesty, which is a transvestite. So, and I've mentioned this a few times. De temps en temps, j'ai dit que that I'm straight transvestite. And sometimes I feel like I'm banging on about it, but it's just because a number of people think, oh, you're just making that up, you must be gay. And I'm just trying to make the area where, because there are gay, straight, and bisexual transvestites, so it's a complicated, transgender's complicated, man. But these different communities do exist. Or, I mean, communities, I think, is a bit too big a word for us, but sections of the sexuality. C'est compliqué. Transgender.
En Angleterre, le mot c'est transvestite. Ça c'est un mauvais c'est un mot avec une mauvaise image dans tout le monde. C'est difficile. Je suis un travesti. Ce n'est pas. On n'écrit pas. Je suis un travesti sur son résumé. You know. Je joue au tennis.
So this was at the end of 2 weeks. So I'd been doing it for 2 weeks. So I was more confident at this point.
Peut-être non. Mais le mot, en Angleterre, c'est difficile. J'ai dit à tout le monde, je suis un travesti.
And this is 100-seater, and this is Le Boulenois is a great place to play. But I haven't really, at this point, broken through. Je ne suis pas très connu à Paris, but I'm still on the breaking through. I've got to break it through with the hip people in Paris, which is les branchés. They call it branchés. Like branches, the connected people.
So, je suis arrivé en France et j'ai découvert que je suis une catastrophe. Fucking problem, eh?
And I do a test of the audience, and it's about 30, maybe 40% French people, and about 60, maybe 70% English speakers who are bilingual, who live and work in Paris, because there's a big community, about 200,000. Il y a 200 000 personnes qui habite à Paris, qui est anglais ou américain ou australien.
De temps en temps, ils
Mais
vont demander. Oui, c'est ça.
ils
Parce que moi
sont
aussi, je fais un peu en
bilingues.
français.
They are bilingual.
De temps en temps, je ne sais pas. J'ai dit les phrases et tout. Je dis,
And I'm speaking a bit fast here. Je crois que je parle un peu trop vite.
j'ai dit, je veux te baiser ma mère.
It's a good tip for if you're speaking other languages. You sort of want to rush ahead and speak like you speak in English.
Oui, ça c'est.
Um,
Et depuis 5 ans,
mais c'est mieux si on parle
en français. Parce que
plus
j'ai
lentement.
développé un nouveau.
And you think you're going to sound stupid and a bit slow, but in fact you just sound collected and you can work out your verbs
Le français.
and
La français. J'ai pris la français. Le. Merci.
the the word that you're looking for.
Spectacle.
This is weird.
Oui, tout le monde ici est professeur.
Qu'est-ce que je dis ici? Parce que avec le public là que je peux demander,
Le français ici
I can always
est
ask
personne qui parle anglais aussi, oui.
what the French is. So my audience teaches me. Oh, the audience teaches my audience, my personal audience. L'audience, ils sont les professeurs. They're all teachers.
Première langue est anglais, fait.
So this is the test.
Okay.
Now you notice on the test there, the audience that the
Ce n'est pas
the
l'ambassade.
English speakers make a big noise. So you can't quite tell. It sounds like there's a huge amount there, but then they all want to make bigger noise because they feel they're abroad, or they're not abroad, but like it becomes a bit like the British Embassy. I found this thing that people go in and there's someone British on stage. But it's interesting. No one heckled me during the show, saying do it in English, because I had a lot of problems over the years forcing through the idea that I was going to do it in France. C'est très difficile pour moi. Because the audience had dit non, fais le spectacle en anglais, because they were English speakers turning up, and I said, well, go and watch me in London.
Dans une conversation, parce que ce sont des phrases comme le chat est près de la chaise. Le chat est près de la chaise.
Now this is
Okay. C'est pas encore
ce matériel ici, c'est
les chaises en France, c'est
it's like a variation on a thing at the end of Dress to Kill.
Jusqu'à une chaise. J'ai une idée, c'est exprès.
About learning French at school.
Le chat est près de la chaise.
Et les mots ici, le chat est près de la chaise, le singe est sur l'arbre. Ce sont les vrais mots et phrases que j'ai appris quand j'ai 8 ans, 9 ans, 10 ans. Leçon 1, the orange books that I learned from. These were my first phrases. And I just did a flip, because you couldn't do it in the same way I did it in English, because the audience are French. Complicated, huh?
Ok, je suis là. Allez, faisons.
It's a good way to learn a language, because over 2 weeks I got so much better so quickly, even though I'm still not couramment fluent. Je ne suis pas couramment à ce moment, mais je sais être couramment.
Jusqu'à ce moment, en France, c'est difficile. Une autre phrase est le singe est sur la larbre. Le singe
est sur la larbre.
est sur la larbre. Sur la larbre? Non, sur la branche. Sur la branche, pardon.
When I first did that material, I used to say le singe est dans l'arbre, and that was pointed out. The actual French teacher that taught me had daughter or daughters, or they heard this material and they repeated it to her, and so she came and found me and said that I was actually saying it wrong, because it wasn't the monkey is in the tree, because that would be dans l'arbre is inside the tree. So I changed it to the monkey is sur la branche, which is what it was in the book. Now the hotel, section, I don't know. Je ne sais pas le mot en français, mais ce parti, this bit, is a Dress to Kill, and it's quite an old piece, but it was nice. It was schoolboy French, and I did the mime really bad there. This is what I found. J'ai trouvé that, or one in comedy, if you're doing miming out something, you've got to do it very precise. I used to do a play on trying to mime my hand over my head is supposed to be like the shower, la douche. You know, I'm trying to say room avec une douche, and as if I couldn't get the word, and then I say with a spider, une araignée. But I think I did a really crap mime there. But see, people were laughing by this stage. I mean, I think this was entertainment, whereas my early experiments or attempts to do stand-up were not really entertaining, but more just like a good effort. Well, especially the beginning ones. But you know, you do it day after day. I was doing 6 shows a week, and it was fantastic. It just to live in Paris, to be working in Paris. God, I loved it. And I'll go back, and next time I go back, I'll do at least 2 months, hopefully 4, because that's how I broke through in New York. I did 3 shows in New York in '96 for 4 weeks, '97 for 3 weeks, and then came back because it was end of '97 and beginning of '98. Very soon later, I came back and did 4 months. And you have to be there every day, like a play. You can't come in like rock and roll and have a single in the charts because there's no singles. You have to come in like a play and sit down for 4 months and get the buzz out. Because in France, they won't review you. And none of the promoters believe that I can break through. And there was a very good publicist had on this show who was very good. The most beautiful press release I've ever seen, actually. It's fantastic. But whatever happens in Britain, no matter what profile, notoriety you get in Britain, it just doesn't transfer over. It does in rock and roll, it does in film. Which is why I'm trying to do films as well and come in at a different angle. I keep checking the word. The falsetto for the word check is cheque, which is fantastic. Makes it a lot easier. I think it is. I have checked. J'ai checké. Which is good. Un travesti exécutif. Well, that was a whole bit. I used to do this thing of action transvestite, and I think I'd already talked about snowboarding in a previous. That's on Dress to Kill. And this shows how this show is a transition between Dress to Kill and Circle. And if you're watching Dress to Kill, and this is on, I think I'm going to put this on Dress to Kill as well as Circle, which I'm not trying to cheat people, but I just think it's the only French show I've got at the moment, and if it's an extra, then why the hell not? People can watch it. Faire la pipe, blowjob in French. One of the first things you should do, actually, if you're learning a language, is because I went to Chalon-sur-Marne when I was a kid, twice, and which is now called Chalon-en-Champagne, because Chalon-sur-Marne, the Marne is the river there, but it's not as sexy as en Champagne. It's on the Champagne region, so they just changed the name. It makes it sound a lot more tourist friendly. But as soon as you get there, you ask, what are the swear words in French? Faire la pipe, to give a blowjob. It's my flip into the film Speed. As I say there. La film Speed.
On doit changer le titre jusqu'à un titre comme La Vitesse, peut-être. Mais non, en France, ça s'appelle Speed. Et aussi, maintenant, nous avons encore une guerre entre la France et Angleterre, la guerre de bœuf continue.
Yeah, we seem to have continuellement, if that is a word, la guerre entre Angleterre et la France. And it's more between the English and the French, and you know, it's not a war, but there's constant niggling. Maybe it's all from just our end. But then we love to go to France on holiday. Nip over to Calais, buy all the cheap beer.
c'est OK maintenant. Et France a dit non. Nous ne aimons
But the
pas.
Scottish used to have the old relationship, the special relationship with the French.
Acheter les viandes. And so, une guerre.
So this is de la vache folle. Le sujet ici, c'est le vache folle.
Pour les vaches, c'est bizarre. Parce que
Mad cow disease was just. J'ai fait les.
Qu'est-ce que j'ai dit? Qu'est-ce que c'est drôle?
I couldn't work out.
Qu'est-ce que c'est drôle?
Je ne comprends pas pourquoi il y a un grand riz là. And I didn't know why there's a big laugh, but by watching, I think it just. Just the way I said the line. All about. I said. J'ai dit le politique, le sujet, le vache folle. And then I said, there's all this politics, and I said, and the cows are really, was it confused or something? But it was a very unexpected big laugh. Didn't normally get a laugh there, so I was confused. I thought they'd seen something. It was such a big laugh. La rire est si grande que j'ai cru que quelqu'un arrivé à faire quelque chose à droite ou à côté de moi. You know, sometimes something happens on stage. Something can happen off stage. Once, my early shows in Edinburgh Festival, someone fell off their chair asleep, and there was a big laugh. And you think, hey, I'm really funny. Dans un show, un spectacle à Edinburgh Festival, quelqu'un était... il was asleep. How do I say asleep in French? Il dormait. Il dormait. He was sleeping. Il est sur une chaise et il est tombé par terre. C'est un grand riz. And I thought I was funny. J'ai cru que je suis très drôle. Mais non. C'est une personne qui a tombé par terre.
Je me souviens comme ça. Mr. Magoo, an égout.
Oh, this is how to remember words.
En anglais, c'est un egg.
I do things like this.
Et entre les deux, égout.
Memory
C'est
hooks.
une combinaison de Monsieur Magoo.
Hooks dans la mémoire. I don't know how you say hooks en français. La technique pour faire un spectacle dans une autre langue, dans la deuxième langue, ou peut-être la troisième langue, la quatrième langue. The technique I use is I tried translating the whole thing. I got someone to translate the whole show, but that was a huge book of a thing, and I thought, I can't learn this. It's not my style. Mon style est très conversationnel? Conversational style. So I have keywords, les mots de clé, and I translate those. So perroquet, I had a thing about a minor bird and a parrot, and I worked out perroquet and unmenat, and then I just talked about those two things with my weird French. So aigu is sewage, which is what the French cows are fed on apparently, and ours were eating les vaches écrasées, which was crushed up cows, I think. La Haine, there was a big film in France called La Haine, which was a big critical hit. Vincent Cassel est dans le film La Haine, and I'm just doing a film at the moment, some years later, called Blueberry at the moment. It was going to be called something else, a western, and he's in that film, or in this film. I think Aine, it's a very difficult word to pronounce. Nous haïssons. Because the H is silent, it's tricky, so it was talking about hatred was just tricky. Mais c'est un sujet intéressant. It was an interesting subject because it's very powerful, hatred, and it does seem to be a tool that has been used for centuries.
Alternative, avec tête, you know, intelligent, très joli, des choses comme ça. Mais en général en France, est-ce que vous pensez que les Français haïssent les Anglais en général? Pas de tout, non, pas problème, everything fantastic. Non, ok.
So
Ok, est-ce
every
que les
night I
Français
would try
haïssent les
this.
Allemands? Oui, ok. Il y a une guerre, oui, une
Est-ce que les
guerre.
Français haïssent les Anglais? And they went, no, maybe the
Est-ce que
word was a
les
bit
Français
strong.
haïssent les Américains? Oui, ok.
Now, there's this American problem that everyone has, but whoever is, I mean, I'm sure when Britain and France were the most powerful countries in the world, then everyone hated us.
Ça, c'est l'anthem national.
Be good to get beyond that situation, but that's it at the moment. So,
Mais la haine c'est une drogue. C'est une drogue pour les jeunes. Les jeunes anglais aiment bien la haine. Parce qu'il peut, s'il y a une guerre, si
haine.
les Français font quelque chose. Parce qu'en normal, je crois que peut-être les Français,
So before every show,
bœuf, le français, le bœuf,
I would work with
quoi, you know, si,
a language coach,
acheter
a woman called Steph
personne,
Little, who
you
was
know, ce n'est pas c'est seulement
bilingue.
bœuf, bon,
She was
ok.
bilingual.
L'argent là, pas de problème.
I found the actual word
Mais
bilingue
les
because
fermiers
it's
français sont très furieux. Toujours.
bilingue,
Si quelque
language.
chose se passe en Angleterre, toujours en Angleterre, à la télé, nous voyons les fermiers.
What am I trying to say?
Jusqu'à
Belong. Oh, yeah, I tried to say belong all the time, but the actual word is bilang, and I thought, well, that's so weird. Why doesn't it belong? Because there's unlong is a language, and you're bilang. But then we say language, and then bilingual.
Asterix et Obélix, là.
Someone pointed out to me, someone French pointed out to me.
Beaucoup de fermiers.
So it's
Tous
the
les
same.
touristes anglais qui conduisent les voitures. Beaucoup de tracteurs. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Yes, this is always about the French farmers when they
Mais la haine, c'est
When
énorme.
they,
Les jeunes anglais, ils aiment bien, you know,
do
anglais, Angleterre, ils disent,
do what? Do political action when they strike, when they put the tractors on them. They just sort of seize up the whole of France. And usually Calais. That's why we know about it.
Journal aujourd'hui. Et
Sometimes it's just then. I'm searching for the word. I go through about 3 or 4 different words before I get it.
la haine est une drogue.
But I found the best way to do this, because it's kind of crazy doing.
Nos voisins qui font beaucoup de
C'est
bruit, qui habitent à côté.
c'est difficile à faire le spectacle en deuxième langue, but I adopted the idea of booking it in, saying I'm going to do it, telling everyone I'm going to do it, et puis I have to do it. Je dois le faire. And then I'm going to do it in German after this. And my brother said to me, why don't you get good at one language first? Because I'm still not brilliant at French.
Je pense. Parce que
If I did it for 4 months, I did it for 2 months, I get pretty damn good. 4 months would be, I'd have to get pretty close to couramment.
les enfants, c'est dans la jardin, ils font ça. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Merde, c'est Steve McQueen sur une moto. Sur une bicyclette. Mais moi, j'ai grandi dans les années 70.
That line there, j'ai agrandi dans les années 70, sounded like I knew what I was talking about. And it just sounds very smooth, but I'm still speaking too fast here.
Vingtaine, oui. Dans nos trentaines, ouh. Dans nos quarantaines, dans nos cinquantaines, dans nos soixantaines, non merci. Dans nos soixante-dizaines, quoi? Dans nos quatre-vingtaines,
The French counting is really complicated when, as anyone who's learned French knows, unless you go to Switzerland where they don't do it. Because then they go 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 60 plus 10, 80, 80, which means 4 20s, 80, and then 90 is 90, 4 20s plus 10.
vanille avec une baguette de chocolat.
But if you go to Switzerland, you'll find that they go 60, 70, 80, 90, 10. Very interesting. And I thought, my God, a breakthrough. But I could, sure as eggs is eggs, I doubt France will change the way that they say their numbers.
C'est un bon blague pour les enfants.
Je dirais que c'est difficile à faire les numéros en français. Parce que 60, 70, 80. Et la mode, la Suisse, quand quand ils disent 60, 70, 89, 10 ans, ça c'est mieux pour moi.
Et, et les meufs dans la monarchie,
Oh, les
elles ne
meufs.
font rien. Elles ne font rien.
It's a bit weird. Saying les meufs dans la monarchie, which is the women,
La reine Victoria,
well, les femmes dans la monarchie, but avec
160 ans.
velo, which is the switching slang. It's like Cockney rhyming slang, and I use a few words in it. It's not the same as Cockney rhyming slang, but it's two-syllable words which are spun round. So les flics becomes les keufs. En arabe, un beurre, les femmes, les meufs. And you can make them up. And it's designed so that the police can't understand. So les keufs ne comprennent pas.
Qui n'avaient pas beaucoup d'argent, et ça c'est bien. Mais la reine, Elisabeth, elle vit toujours. Elle vit. Je crois que Prince Charles, il arrive à le palais de Buckingham, et elle dit à sa mère, hey maman, qu'est-ce que tu fais aujourd'hui? Je vis. Et qu'est-ce que tu as fait hier? J'ai vécu. Parfait.
I like this bit.
Et qu'est-ce que tu feras demain? Je vivrai. Futur. Et il y a 2 jours, qu'est-ce que tu faisais? Je vivais. Imparfait. Ça c'est tout. C'est tout que
That was a piece in English, which is all about the monarchy, especially Liz, just going on living, doesn't really do anything, just lives. And how Prince Charles asking her, what do you do today? I lived. What did you do yesterday? What do you do today? I am living. Yesterday I lived. Tomorrow I will live. A few days ago I was living. And it suddenly became a sort of little mini lesson in French. So I like that.
Ok. Va te faire cuire. Je suis la reine. Mais j'ai grandi
Yeah, so
et j'ai cru que dans les années 70, l'Angleterre.
I found that one's French
Nous avons perdu la voix parce que
gets so much better so really quickly. If you're doing an hour and a half performing to an audience in French every night, it's bound to get a little bit better. And my main way of thinking is confidence, confiance. And actually, with it, see that confiance is quite close to confidence, and that's another trick I say for if you're doing languages. If you don't know the word, say the English word with a French accent, which sounds a bit. Some people just do that anyway, but I mean, if it's over 3 syllables, it probably has a Latin root. This is a good rule of thumb. So confidence, confiance, transportation, transportation, interrogation, in case you're a criminal, interrogation. Oh no, you could be in the police force. So both use the word interrogation, but they all match up. Behind it, you got the backdrop. This picture of this black rose, which we actually had built in the UK, a huge rose that I would actually walk down on the stage, but the stages were bigger, of course, because it was 2000 personnes, 2,000 people, or 3,000 people, seaters. And here it's only 100-seater, it's a little baby venue. Mais la idée, pour ici, but if you're playing in Paris, is play small and try and sell it out and build it up. You don't need to get any bigger until you're really breaking through. Et probablement, and probably, je dois parler français mieux que je parle à ce moment. I gotta speak it better. I gotta get quicker and faster and get more slang, more confidence. But my technique is I just keep going back until eventually something happens. Hey, relentlessness.
Agréable sur les mobilettes, comme ça, avec les lunettes juste ici. sans casque, avec une jeune fille derrière.
A casque. Motorbike helmet.
Toujours, il draguait une fille. Il draguait les filles ici, avec une fille là. En 22, Mussolini a dit tous les Italiens sont les fascistes maintenant. Fascisti. Fascisti. Ciao. Pas de différence. Mussolini a envahi Abyssinie. Abyssinie, pourquoi?
Envahir. To invade. Envahir. God, tricky word to pronounce.
Quand les autres Italiens disent il Duce, pourquoi? Pourquoi Abyssinie? C'est alphabétique.
I just played UK before this show, but I hadn't played London, so I went back from this show and I played London and having spent ages trying to get certain key French words into my head, I forgot the English words, which was very weird. There's one phrase in particular. Don't know if it's gone by yet, but I could not get it in French, and I finally got it in the last week. I go back to Britain and I couldn't remember it in English.
Parce que les Anglais sont européens, pas ici, monsieur. Non, il n'y a pas de Européens ici. Non, je suis désolé. Vous êtes quoi? Un commissionnaire de Européen. Ah, oh, viens ici, bienvenue.
So I'm just watching this. I haven't watched this. Je ne l'ai pas vu, ce spectacle, for 2 years or something.
Européen ici, monsieur. Je pense.
It's quite weird. C'est très bizarre pour si on parle français avec un accent anglais ou américain.
Oubliez ça.
C'est
J'ai essayé à faire la ligne.
intéressant.
Comme ça, non, comme ça. De temps en temps, en anglais, quand je parle, parce que je comprends, je peux parler anglais. J'improvise et je suis dans un cul-de-sac. Et je dis, oh merde, il faut
Well, this was quite
faire
nice.
en arrière très vite. Et puis je suis dans la. Je peux faire très vite en
This is
anglais.
me trying to-
Parfois, c'est de temps en temps, je suis dans un cul-de-sac et je dois faire un tour de 3 points.
3-point turn, 212 points. If I get stuck improvising in English, I could just back out, but in French, I have to drive all over the shop. It seems to get it over the representation of that joke. Qu'est-ce que j'ai dit?
Ouais, dans la tête. Ouais. Mais j'ai dit à les Anglais, il faut être européen, il faut être dans le siège chauffeur de l'Europe, ou sinon dans le siège passager de l'Europe, parce que nous avons un pare-brise avec
La siège chauffeur, the driver's seat of Europe.
Mais à ce moment, les Anglais, nous sommes au feu de l'Europe avec une éponge et nous sommes là. Et on nettoie le pare-brise, on nettoie le
We're at
pare-brise.
the traffic lights of Europe.
Allemand, espagnol. Merde. Vous avez des euros? Euros. Oh. Ouh, ah,
So in 1999, when this was filmed, I think
artifice ici.
the euro had been introduced as a sort of nominal currency, but it wasn't on the table. And now when I'm doing this voiceover, 2002, and it exists. It's been out 7 months now. And just broken parity with the dollar because it went below the dollar. But it's the new baby currency. But to make things a lot easier in Europe. Banging a political gong here.
Oui, je sais.
This bit here, I was just talking about feu d'artifice, the fireworks. I said in France it's 14 Juillet, 14th of July. It's their Bastille Day. In Britain, 5th of November, where we burn the effigy of Guy Fawkes and And I was about to say 4th of July in America, and then this guy heckled and said, it's the 4th of July. I said, yeah.
Ça, c'est improvisation. On ne sait pas. Ce n'est pas dans la tête. L'improvisation, c'est ici. Et on arrive, et peut-être de temps en temps, il y a une bonne blague, mais de temps en temps, il boit, puis, allô, chat, pion. Et puis, j'ai dit à tout le monde.
Je parle maintenant de l'idée de improvisation. C'est it's like the idea of improvising. It's not under my control. It just comes out.
Non, je veux dire, je ne suis pas religieuse. Oh non, non, je veux dire, les feux d'artifice, oui. Les feux d'artifice.
Les feux d'artifice.
Je crois que
Artificial fire.
ne marche pas du tout. De temps en temps, on parle.
But this is good. This is pretty relaxed and playing with the audience, and then realizing I'm going off in the wrong direction.
C'est la chute de blague. La chute de la blague. Ok. Non. Plus tard, je dis l'idée. Les feux d'artifice. Peut-être.
I can't remember what the idea was about feux d'artifice.
Je ne suis pas
Oh no, that.
religieuse.
I think that's probably the
Religieux.
idea of war.
La religieuse, c'est une nonne.
The thing I noticed that war is just fireworks that land and kill people, and that's why there's this
Ça, c'est tout.
horrific beauty of war that people watch on films.
Non, je ne suis pas religieux, mais il y a beaucoup de dieux dans le monde. Le dieu chrétien, et le mot chrétien et le mot crétin sont très proches.
Yeah, chrétien is French for Christians, and crétins is
Le dieu chrétien,
English for idiots.
c'est pas la vérité pour moi, parce que il y a tout l'univers. L'univers est énorme. Il y a 100 milliards de galaxies dans l'univers.
100 millions.
Et je crois que le dieu Chaos.
Milliard.
C'est seul
I think
dieu
a
de
billion is a
l'univers.
milliard.
Chaos. Vous avez le dieu Chaos qui a créé l'univers avec un feu d'artifice.
sure. I can't remember. There's things I'm saying here that I can't even remember what they mean.
Tactique, pas de grands plans. Il a un fils aussi qui s'appelle Kevin.
And if you don't have the word, si on ne peut pas parler exactement
Ça, c'est
le vrai français, le correct
Mais juste
français, c'est difficile.
attendez jusqu'à l'époque Renaissance. L'époque Renaissance est fantastique.
I kind of like performing stand-up
Et,
without
Leonardo da Vinci,
a microphone in my hand.
le plus connu de l'époque Renaissance.
And if I've got like in the main show, just a microphone that just comes down, a little small one,
Machine de guerre.
then
Il a inventé un hélicoptère
I mean I have 2 free hands. I can
qui ne marche pas.
do stand-up easier. But
J'ai un lien avec
in France, they don't have stand-up comedy
j'ai inventé un hélicoptère.
very much. I mean, I think there's just like a handful of people who might do stand-up comedy avec un micro, with a microphone.
Juste la même que Leonardo.
And they have seen it because
Les grands
Juste pour Rire, Just for Laughs festival in Montreal. In Montreal, the stand-ups use a microphone, and they've seen those shows. But they do in France. The standard type of comedy is one-man show, which is called one-man show. So they do little sketches, kind of like stand-up, where they're talking to someone who's not there. But they do that. Then they have a noir, a blackout, and then they do another sketch and then a blackout. So 3-minute sketches and blackouts, something in that kind of, which is like kind of review, but one-man review stuff. And we just do it with a microphone. So I tried to bring the microphone back in and handheld just to, because I had to present. This was the real tricky thing in Paris. I was trying to present 3 different things. 1, English, and I'm going to speak French. 2, stand-up comedy, which doesn't really exist. 3, I happen to be a transvestite and it's got nothing to do with the comedy. It's like one hand behind your back and hopping up Everest or something, and it was tricky. My idea is I wanted to do the same show in English, the same show that comes up in English in all countries. And I do believe that it is, apart from it being difficult to do sometimes, to do American accent and doing the scene, acting out like like an American actor in something in Raging Bull, and then do that while you're speaking French. Apart from the fact that's really difficult, French do understand it because they've seen Raging Bull. You know, they've seen the films. They get all the American films. They might be dubbed, but they get them. So and all the references points that they're playing all of Europe, any developed country. You should be able to do the same material. My theory is that comedy is human and not national. Because in England we say the French have a visual sense of humour, the Germans have no sense of humour, and that's the extent of our comedy generalizations. But I think the French do not have a visual sense of it. The French just have several senses of humour, like we do. Some people like mainstream, some people like alternative, some people like surreal. They're not all saying, God, if it's not Jack Tatty, I won't watch it.
Les méchants sont les Anglais et les autres sont les Américains. Ah, Dark Vader.
Oh, this is Star Wars. Oh yeah, posh English guys playing bad guys. That whole technique of making noise into something. Well, I mean, the Darth Vader character, as we know, did that kind of heavy breathing stuff. But I first did that at college in about 81, 82. 82. Et j'ai joué le rôle de... I was playing Groucho Marx, I think. No, I was mucking about. It was an accidental death of an anarchist. And I had one of these American carafes of wine that came from California. The Californian wine was just breaking through. It was a big carafe shape. And I found that you could, if you breathed into this bottle with a big open neck shape, you sounded like Darth Vader. There we go. And I found that French audiences who watched the show would be very positive and come up and go, "What the hell are you doing?" It's like it's a new medium and my French isn't fluent, so they just thought I was crazy. But I'll keep going back. I keep saying this to me. Maybe I'm just trying to say it to myself. Go back. Because it's difficult, you have to set it all up. I mean, just to fit it into everything else. It doesn't even quite fit into a tour. Si on fait une tournée du monde, so I can go to Australia. So going from America to Australia, Australia to America, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, London, Scotland. They all fit in, even Scandinavian countries. Having played Iceland and Sweden and Denmark, Norway I could play, which I haven't yet, and Holland, I do them all in English, and they sort of fit together, you know, because it's just pack up the show and then go to France or Germany, which I plan to do next. It's, you have to rearrange your brain.
Okay, penne arrabbiata.
My brother said, well, why are you going to go and do German? Why don't you just get the French one working first? And he's probably right, but I'm a bit crazy. I'll probably start doing German and get them both kind of half good. But all I need to do is just sit down in Berlin for 2 months. All I need to do, I don't know.
Ça, c'est l'histoire de Dark Vader. Mais enfin, je veux dire de la religion. La religion... nous avons l'église anglaise. L'église anglaise en Angleterre. Nous avons... avant que ça, nous avons le paganisme. Et après ça, le catholisme. Et puis l'église...
I tend to mumble words. And if I'm mumbling French, that's not good, because then the French are going, quoi? My tour manager, Mick, used to speak slower in big letters and put it on the front of the stage so that I'd notice it, under my feet, right in front of me. Because I would just try and go faster. I mean, that's the thing with stand-up. You're so there's a certain amount of fear, distinct amount of fear, coming through the clubs where someone's going to heckle you and give you a hard time. So you speak really fast so that there's no gaps. And then when the fear comes back, you're playing in France, you think they're going to just kill you because you're murdering the language. Or just, just psychologically.
Hey, qu'est-ce que tu fais ça? Je suis le bloody pape. Nous ne pouvons pas faire ça. Je suis le pape. Qu'est-ce que tu es un mormon? Qu'est-ce que... Ciao. Tu ne pouvons pas faire ça. So, on est obligé de dire oui, ok, eh bien...
It is very bizarre hearing French spoken with sort of British accents, even though my British accents can quite often be raggy. I did find that posh, seeing as we were invaded and conquered by Norman French, and they spoke Norman French, William the Conqueror, so all the aristocracy it logically followed were, distinctly, were speaking French. And if you take a posh English accent and then speak French, it actually works. C'est très facile avec un accent très poche anglais à parler français comme ça. C'est mieux. It's easier. It sort of really just rolls off, and it feels like it must have been what happened to the aristocratic posh French as they gradually learned English. But it just really, they fit together easier than a sort of flattened. Yeah, well, c'est un peu difficile parler français. Those more, say, an East End accent or London accent is harder to make it, to fit it together. But posh English accents seem to jump quite easily into French, which may come from the whole William the Conqueror. That's my theory.
Quoi? Ils sont gays? Non, ils n'étaient pas gays. Ils sont les Amish, mais c'est un peu différent. Mais il n'aime pas les boutons. Il n'aime pas les boutons? Oui. Pourquoi je n'ai pas dit rien des boutons? Non, il n'aime pas les boutons. C'est les Amish, ils sont un peu différents. Ils sont les Allemands, ils sont les nazis. Non, pas les Inas. Mais il n'aime pas les boutons. Il fabrique les bâtiments de bois fantastiques. Et Harrison Ford est un bon pote des Amish. C'est bizarre. Et qu'est-ce que le Saint-Esprit pense de toutes les choses? Alors,
The Saint-Esprit, yeah. Holy Ghost.
Il croit qu'il est un fantôme, il a une couverture sur la tête. Regardez là. Je suis le Saint-Esprit.
No, this is not it. This is Dressed to Kill, I think.
Saint-Esprit, ce n'est pas une mission de Scooby-Doo.
Now, if you look at the word circle and Dressed to Kill, you'll find it's an anagram.
Parce que Scooby-Doo,
There's an L in there.
Scooby-Doo
It doesn't
Sammy,
work.
en Angleterre, nous avons Shaggy, en France, c'est Sammy. Mais...
Oh, right.
Oui, merci. Un bon blague, mais c'est vrai.
Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. It's Sammy. Because Shaggy obviously doesn't... I think in the French language, Shaggy, c'est pas problème, comme Eddie. But it's just changed to Sammy and Scooby-Doo.
C'est bizarre. Parce qu'ils aiment deux choses. Sammy et Scooby-Doo, ils aiment être lâcheté et aussi ils aiment les sandwichs. Les deux choses comme ça. Et ça, c'est comme tout
Être lâcheté. He's a coward.
Et puis le danger arrive et nous court.
Cowardice and sandwiches. Oh, la lâcheté. Maybe that's cowardice.
Oh my gosh, Scooby-Doo, c'est
And lâche?
Saint-Esprit, il faut courir.
Don't know what cowardice. I think I'm saying cowardice there. This is it because it's some time ago and I haven't used the word cowardice in my general chat.
Ils sont très avancés, oui, très intelligents.
If you think about it, because that's how you get used to speaking a language, is by using the word over and over again. So a lot of conversational stuff and traveling stuff like hotels and bedroom and aeroplane. You remember them because you're using them all the time. And then words like cowardice you don't use so often when you're traveling around. Hello, my car's just broken down, you coward. It's just usual. DJs de la mer. The word DJ is the same.
Et si nous, les êtres humains, sommes les plus avancés, pourquoi est-ce que nous les êtres humains, pourquoi nous devons avoir une puberté? Parce que la
Nous
puberté
devons
est
avoir
et
la puberté.
les gazelles n'ont pas une
Mais le
puberté.
steak there, oh my god.
À la télé, la mission de nature n'avait pas. Ok, la gazelle là, avec l'acné, le bouton sur le visage, il est avec sa mère. Maman, je veux du lait, maintenant, maintenant. Ah merde, je vais faire une bagarre avec un lion. Mais enfin, les religions. Les religions, nous avons le paganisme en Angleterre, puis le catholisme arrive, et le paganisme avec les grandes fêtes.
Paganisme,
À
catholicisme,
Noël et à Pâques, et puis ça
Pâques.
change, puis
Pâques
c'est
is
la même
Easter.
chose. Le
I think.
catholicisme arrive, et puis avec
Was
les
it?
grandes
Yeah, Noël
fêtes
is Christmas
à
and like
Noël et à Pâques aussi.
à Pâques.
Dieu est né à Noël et il est mort à Pâques.
Il est
Civilisation
mort à
fantastique.
Pâques.
Nouvelle religion, exactement le même. Le dernier repas. Le dernier repas, c'est très difficile.
Enfin.
Le dernier
So
repas, presque.
this is the way you actually this point is English or
n'est pas arrivé, parce que
français or
Jésus
allemand
est là,
or
à la porte,
Deutsch.
il est frappé à la porte.
The only way to get
Je suis Jésus, je suis ici.
if you watch a film, you want things to build
Je voudrais faire
structurally into a climax where you're emotionally going, come on, come on, hey. But in stand-up, we just talk about this, that, and the other, and so in closing, and then you say, there's like a big flag to the audience and drapeau à l'audience pour le fin du spectacle va arriver. You're just trying to, it's sometimes you do get a piece that really fits in the end and just builds up in tension and bam. But you do have to tell people. Otherwise.
Nous sommes très difficiles ce soir. Ok, 2 personnes ici sur une table, 3 personnes sur deux différentes tables et 6 personnes au bas. Non, non. Juste
There's me searching for a word that très is the English way of saying it. Très, more the French way. But anyway, sorry, I just remember the first show I ever did in France, which is filmed on Je suis in stand-up, where I'm searching for the word tenir and just having a bad time. But this whole piece here, le pièce ici, le matériel ici, this is a good technical way of finishing up stand-up, of taking, which is a mode j'ai découvert en improvisation. You take the ideas from, I got this from improvisation, where you take story elements and you bring them all back in the final scene. So bonsoir. At the end of the show, so I just sort of speak faster at the end of the sentence, and that's the signal for the end. But there we go. Merci. I think j'ai parlé plus d'anglais que français, mais je suis désolé, but it's a bit difficult doing both languages. C'est difficile à faire deux langues ici. Ok. Salut. Goodbye.
J'ai fini tout mon matériel de stand-up comedy. Et puis je peux recommencer au début. Je suis ok, bon, merci d'être ici. Pardon? Je comprends pas ça. Fireworks story? Qu'est-ce que c'est fireworks story? I don't speak many English. Fireworks story, je sais. Faut identifier ça, faut dire, eh bien, merci d'être ici, d'être venu. Et la prochaine fois, je vais retourner avec un réfrigérateur. Comment réfrigérateur? Bon? Réfrigérateur. Frigo, c'est plus simple, oui. Parce que c'est un peu chaud ici. Nous avons chaud ici, dans le Pigalle, c'est très frais. Ça s'appelle là, c'est dans le couloir là, c'est presque fantastique. Non. Ok, pas de blague maintenant. Merci. À bientôt. À la prochaine fois. Ok. Quoi? Non, je ne comprends ça du tout. Il faut apprendre notre langue, je pense. Mais c'est bien, mais je crois qu'il y a beaucoup de comiques en Angleterre et ils peuvent faire les blagues en anglais, c'est fantastique. C'est une langue intéressante, mais c'est très difficile pour moi. Je suis désolé, mais je crois que ce pays est France, oui. J'ai cru que nous sommes en France. Peut-être c'est une autre place. Non, c'est la France. Merci. Bonsoir.